From the center of Galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure running from the dark side of the Force and life itself. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and this is Maul and the Curse of Himself. I think that title is going to get to keep coming true, although these two episodes, he got me a little bit, Ken. He got me a little bit. I will never entirely agree with it. He's making some good points. He's saying what he needs to get what he wants. But I thought these two episodes did a great job of making me cheer when Maul showed up.
Indeed. Absolutely. We released a short last week where I warned you all, don't believe Maul. And this week I was like, I need to watch my own short again. I believe Maul a little bit.
I don't believe him, but I'm glad he showed up to help. But he does great things again and again. And every time you have to just grab yourself and say, but he is doing them for selfish reasons that will be destructive ultimately. And Maul is just like, we can't even get through the intro without starting to talk about the substance. But he's like, I think a lot of us have had that friend who's like, they're so charming. They're so fun to hang out with. They can be so validating. But at the end of the day, they'd probably slide a knife between your ribs for 10 more followers on social media.
Stop looking into my life. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well,
too honest?
Nope. Too honest? Too real? Too Maul?
Too Maul?
It's going to be a fun discussion here today. We're going to dive in deep to episodes 5 and 6, as you can tell. Which is funny. I think I have it's the least amount of notes I've put down for the show so far, but it might be the one episode where I have maybe too much to say. We're going to go for the seat of our pants here on a train. Today's podcast, as always, is brought to you by a shop on Fourth Wall. Check out our merch store, pick up a t-shirt, something else there to help support the show and represent ForceCenter out in the galaxy. We really appreciate that. Getting the word out there. Let us know if there's anything on there that's not there that you want. I think there are tote bags. I make jokes about tote bags, but let me know if there's a tote bag. I'll have to swing through the shop this week. Head over to ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com, ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com. Links down below here on YouTube. We are racing towards the release of The Mandalorian and Grogu. Check out our deep dive on the trailer that was released earlier this week. But also, Joseph, that is a little bit of a goal attached to that release for us.
That's right. These hopping busy times of Star Wars with a new great show like Maul and a big film coming out like Mandalorian and Grogu is the best time for us to grow. It's when people give us a chance who haven't maybe listened or watched before. So along with that, we're trying to build our Patreon and get ourselves on more solid financial footing. So we would love to get to 400 paid patrons on our Patreon by the release of Mandalorian and Grogu. We got a new paid patron this week, so we're up to 385. So we're looking for 15 kind souls with $2 a month to join our Patreon.
$2 a month. I don't even know what words I said earlier. It can only good happen is kind of where my brain is after listening to Maul. So I apologize for that. We are going to dive into Maul Shadow Lord. We got episode 5. We got episode 6. Joseph, let's get right to it because we're obviously ready to do this.
Yeah, a lot to talk about. These episodes are episode 5, titled Inquisition, written by Jennifer Corbett, the showrunner of Bad Batch, directed by Saul Ruiz, a very familiar name to us, and a new name, co-directed Inquisition, Tatiana Drury-Carvin. And then we are looking at episode 6, Night of the Hunted, written by Christopher Yost and directed by Stuart Lee. Very exciting stuff. So any thoughts on those credits before we dive into the episodes?
Very happy to see Jennifer Corbett's name there. Made the Bad Batch so wonderful. I know she'd gone on to work at some other things, so maybe less involved in this show this time around. But great name. And I didn't see it till after. And then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That has a little bit of some of the Bad Batch episodes that you and I love so much, which she penned. So love that.
Yeah, some great family, society, community. What's the impact of the Empire showing up? And so much the Bad Batch was a tour of the horrors of the Empire. So thanks for the horrible, well-written tour, Jennifer Corbett. Moving into our big overall reaction, I get the vibe that you like these episodes. So did you like them, love them, struggle with them? Where you at, Ken?
Yeah, really, really loved them. And I had to wait a little bit to watch them. I big birthday weekend and was trying to stay up late and I just couldn't. old man age already hit me. I fell asleep early, so I had a nice breakfast the next morning and watched them almost as if I was in the UK, where they get to watch most of these over breakfast, don't they? And I just it really cements that I just really love what this show is doing. There is a lot of times where the show just takes its time, and it leads to real small human slash droid moments. Two Boots had one of the best ones, I think, this week. And for me, it's just kind of the way I describe it is it's a ground level look at the darkest source of power in the galaxy, and it's not always necessarily looking up at Maul, but this is Maul Shadowlord. But to me, what I'm trying to say is those moments with Brander Lawson, moments with his son. We've praised him in the first 4 episodes, and they really shine, just really shone bright this week. Is what I should say of just small little moments. Even the moments with Riley's mom, and she leans down and puts her hair behind her ear. Just these real human moments. Even Lieutenant Blake has a hand movement that I'm like, that's just this. They're taking the time to show this, not just showing off the animation style or what they can do now with animation, which gets discussed a lot in the show, but like, hey, we have the ability to do something a little different than they could do in 2008 over Clone Wars. What can we do with that? And to me, it is taking the time in a show that is moving pretty fast.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the ability to accomplish things in animation is not the same as the artistry of what to do. And yeah, I know exactly what gesture that you're talking about with Lieutenant Blake. There are some real choices that are like that. That is so human. That is not stylized to an animated character. That is human. There are moments in these shows where, like, I almost forget it's animated for just a second, and then it will be very stylistically animated, and you're like, oh yeah, right, it's animated. It's so good. Yeah, I really thought that both these episodes worked really well together. I have seen a couple people feeling like episode 5 is a little bit slow. I didn't experience that. I think is kind of necessary. These 2 episodes to me were about uh, the the story is in progress now. How does this story change when the Empire arrives? The Empire has been a shadow for the series up to now, and now it's this fist that hits. And to me, it was like both of these episodes together were like watching a fist hit glass, and the cracks spread in different ways, and it who gets changed by the cracks is it spreads. In episode 5, to me, while it did take a little bit more of its time, I felt like episode 5 shows the immediate reaction to the Empire of everyone kind of coming apart. All of the different plans and intentions and where we were heading comes apart, which then makes episode 6 really about how are people going to come back together in new ways, in new alliances. These we'll talk about it in depth, but these episodes talk about not being alone and who are you going to choose as your ally again and again. And I feel like episode 5, it's not slow, but it takes its time to go with each location and each set of characters we've met. How are they impacted by the arrival of the Empire? How are they thrown off their feet and in a place by episode 6 where they need to get back on their feet, maybe in a way that they didn't want to or didn't choose to, because this lie of fascism, this lie that we're going to make the trains run on time, is actually total bleeping chaos that shatters everything. And I think taking the time to let us see that and feel that in all the institutions and all the groups, I thought was great. I think one of the reasons that I continue to love the show and continue to love these 2 episodes is there's a great there's an edge to the animation. There's an edge to Maul. We know that. But it feels like there's an edge to the way that they're talking about the Empire. It feels like there's almost a little bit more real life anger as people across the globe have been dealing in the last several years with real world attempts to grab at fascism and authoritarianism like the Empire has always been. And it doesn't feel like theoretical or sort of textbook examination of authoritarianism. It almost feels like, God, look at these authoritarian idiots. There's like an edge to the way the show is demonstrating the Empire and its effect on everybody that makes it feel so visceral. I keep saying, and I thought these 2 episodes were a great example, that the show is a tribute to sighing and holding your head in your hands. Everybody is so believably and understandably exasperated by the chaos and stupidity of the Empire, the pointless cruelty making a mess of everything.
Yeah, it was handled in a very realistic way. Some great. I remembered to turn on the closed captions this time, mostly because I really wanted to understand what Spybot was saying 100% fully, and boy, was I rewarded for that.
Yep.
This is going to be one of my favorite moments, but I think it applies right now to kind of what you're talking, what it makes me feel. That opening shot of the Star Destroyer coming in, and it was piggybacking off of one from the last week, but it was a classic Star Wars thing. You even kind of got little shades of the Imperial March,
Mm-hmm.
and we've seen that before in Star Wars, and it's been handled good. I love the Star Destroyer over Jeddah City. Andor's obviously done some wonderful work with the Empire actually coming into town, what that means. But there was just something really particular about the way this Star Destroyer came over the city, came over Janix. It comes out of the clouds, and it was real. It was like that's what it would actually feel like. And I was almost like, wow, you forget the scale. There's occasionally you'll stumble under some YouTube videos of like, here's the actual size of spaceships in Star Wars and Star Trek and what they would look like over New York. They're kind of a silly rabbit hole to go into and down at 1 a.m. But it had that kind of vibe, but with this very like, oh, this is what it would actually feel like. This is the actual shadow of what it would feel like if you were in the Star Wars galaxy. And that just kind of added some realism to what you're talking about, the effect of the Empire coming down and disrupting everything.
I agree, and we've seen great images of Imperials or First Order massive ships shadowing Resistance or Rebellion fighters, or kind of little Paradise Islands like the one in Bad Batch, or
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeddah is a holy city that's already in revolt. These were people at a colorful, well lit sports game at an arena. These were people just taking the bus, going shopping. This was a real vision, a painfully real vision.
Yeah.
For many people in the world, but these episodes really did make me think and feel a lot about the atrocities done to my hometown and state of Minneapolis, St. Paul in Minnesota earlier this year. Of a very similar, we are going to throw a large, force to violate people's basic civil rights. And there's a lot of just those little moments of, hey, you don't have the right to do that. Hey, you can't touch me. Hey, you can't go in there. And it's very visceral and very real, because the way Janix is I think shown is like, oh, it's a fun noir Gotham City, but they chose to show it some bright spots with sports and grocery shopping and people just living their lives. That made it really visceral. Yeah.
Yep. Who don't have no idea, right? They're not like, hey, the police are chasing some guy. They don't know. Like they're just like, suddenly this is happening.
Yeah.
This is happening.
Yeah. Right. And some of them maybe had an inkling of there's some opinions about the Empire not being great, but not the like, what? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So great. I also just think that there's some great stuff in both episodes, but particularly episode 6, Night of the Hunted, was just some of the greatest Star Wars action I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
So tied to emotion, is so kinetic. It was so inventive. I also thought these episodes were really funny. They're like in the stress, within the stress, there's some great laugh out loud funny moments we'll talk about. I also feel like Devin really came to life in these episodes. I had been talking last week about, I think she's great, but I want to understand a little bit more who she is as an individual. And we got a little bit of like, I'm an exhausted, snarky teen with her interactions with Riley and Brander Lawson, which I thought was great. Only other big picture thing that I wanted to mention about these two episodes before we dive into all these details is what I alluded to at the top with Maul. I think there's a little less Maul in these episodes, which I was totally fine with, because I've always assumed that this would be like some other Star Wars shows where he is the title character, he is the focus, he is the reason, but it's kind of an ensemble show. I think that was Bad Batch, that was Andor, and that's fine with me. But his presence was large, and I feel like we talked about early on in our discussion of the first 2 episodes that the show's doing a good job of kind of putting us in Devin's shoes, that we, the audience, and Devin know he's a damaged, sad, selfish guy who says great things because he selfishly wants to use other people for his ends, and it won't end well for us if we listen to him and believe him. We know he is not a good ally, but I think we have empathy for him in general. We like him because he's cool. There's a sort of main character alliance bias that we have when we're watching narratives. So when he shows up on the train, it feels like a hero moment. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
such a hero moment. And I was
Mm-hmm.
watching it and going like, yeah, all right, great. And then also reminding myself of Docky's words of do not allow his poison to affect your
Mm-hmm.
mind. I think it's so great when a show can play these games and make you want to cheer for a guy who is ultimately not going to do the right thing and is ultimately going to be harmful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Great hero moment. He knows it too. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be her ally. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I mean, how long do you think he was standing there waiting for like, what's a real good moment for me to reveal myself standing tall with a, upward camera angle, for
Mm-hmm.
full propaganda.
Look, Maul knows entrances. I believe on Naboo, he was behind that door going, wait, wait, wait. Oh, they're right there. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The stage manager going, places, Maul.
Yes.
It's time for your theatrical entrance.
Maybe that's what some of the Icarus and was it Scorn, the brother? Yeah, maybe that's their job. They're right there. Do it now.
Fanfare.
Mm-hmm.
Spybot. Spybot would be great as a stage
Spybot.
manager.
Can one of them be holding the boombox like in Burton's Batman when they're coming in playing Jack Nicholson's music?
Yep. Yes. If Prince were alive to do some music for Maul, that would be an amazing thing. All right, let's dive into the big picture, themes and ideas of these episodes. I definitely have a couple things I want to talk about. And very curious where you would go, but I want to start, if it's okay with you, Ken, with something that I feel like has been in the waters of these episodes, but was a real focus of these two episodes with the Empire showing up. That's this theme of just surviving. A lot of people discuss, hey, is all we're doing now surviving? Is that worthwhile? Is it good to just be alive? And it made me think a lot of a thing called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's I don't even know the right word noun for it. A theory, a philosophy, a social science, and if people don't know about it and are curious about it, I learned about it, in social science classes in high school and college. You can look it up on Wikipedia. I think there are a lot of criticisms of it, of whether it's a correct analysis of society, but to me, it's an interesting sort of philosophical way to frame what's going on in these episodes. But there are valid criticisms of it. So the general idea being that humans have levels of needs, and at the bottom is food, water, shelter, basic needs of survival, and at the top of it is once all those material needs are met, the top is self-actualization, fulfilling your potential and becoming the fullest version of yourself. And we've talked a lot about identity and who gets to make it. And this show has really spent a lot of time on Maul seducing Devin, not just with like power or anger, but you have a purpose. We both had a purpose and it was taken from us. What's the point of life if you don't achieve your full purpose, if you don't self-actualize? So I thought it was really interesting that almost every group of characters had to sort of reframe their Maslow's hierarchy of needs from their desire for self-actualization to just survival, and which characters were okay with it and how did they wrestle with it, I thought was fascinating. Starting with Maul, I think I continue to want a little bit more from Rook Cass as a character, but right now she's a great foil for Maul, who keeps him going like, shouldn't you do the obvious logical thing for a criminal organization to survive and make money? The basics. And he keeps being like, no, I have a plan. And in these episodes, we see Rook saying like, hey, do you just want to relocate to a different system? But Maul is obsessed with his grand plan, which to me is it's getting his apprentice, which also means fulfilling his vision and his competition with Sidious to also find a powerful Jedi and form her into a weapon. And I think not on a conscious level, but also perhaps feel less alone because he has a compatriot who, in theory, could understand being a powerful Force user who is kicked out of your organization and has no purpose. Maul will not let go of the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs of like, I could run away to survive, but my mission is not to just survive like I did when I was, half a spider bottom.
Yeah.
My mission is to self-actualize and prove to myself that I am powerful, I am good. Palpatine, Sidious tried to tell me, you're fear, you're hunter, but you're also nothing, you're also filth. And I feel like this whole show is about him going like, no, I'm fear, I am hunter, I'm going to self-actualize. Want to throw to you, how do you feel about that framing, and how do you feel about what Maul is clinging to in these episodes?
Yeah, I put down surviving as well. Everyone's trying. Maul, Vario, Mandos, even the citizens. And of course, this comes up a lot with Master Iko, Dio, Daki, and Devin. And that is where Daki kind of lost me for a second. But,
oh, okay.
Yeah. What are you here for, dude? That's what I kept asking. You're running, but I'm not, but it all comes back down to Maul. I also put this down that this episode was, I tried to be poetic, cause I was, in the middle of breakfast. I put down the idea of, God, where did the measure of good is in the intentions. Put it on a bumper sticker. Because Maul clearly fights for himself, and I like what you're saying here. At the end of this little philosophical pyramid is Maul going mine. Everything else is you're a toy, you're a tool. He craves connection. He craves an ally. He craves someone to mentor, but it's all part of a resume he's building up his mind to impress someone, to fill a hole in his soul that rock he pushes up the hill we always talk about can't even fill. And that is the difference, where at the end of the day, and obviously I really do like Master Iko Diodaki. I think he's a wonderful character, and I'm glad he's still around. I took the under on betting about his survival in the show, and he's still here. Measuring what are you surviving for? And so to have it all kind of play out with Maul on the train, the hero moment, it is kind of manufactured, right? It's so manufactured, and I think we talked about it on the live show Monday, but the moment of him practicing and kind of in his own head, to me, especially, I didn't do a breakdown of every move he does in that practice sequence, but to me, I'm like, I think he's replaying the Kenobi fight. I think in his head, over and over, he's replaying that Kenobi fight to try to rechange, to go back to reprogram his destiny from that point, right? I'm going to go, if that hadn't happened, I would have been blank. If that hadn't happened, I would have done this. I could have been more powerful. Maybe I could have beat Sidious alongside my brother if I had my real legs. I don't know. Like, he just kind of had that vibe to me of just, especially with the ending move is a very, it's Small style that I know. To me, in my head, I'm like, all this is about rewriting his history, and everything else is second to that, and everyone else is second to that, and it's all a big play. He's putting on a play.
Yeah,
to get what he wants.
No, I really agree with that. I think he knows the Empire's coming. He doesn't know when he's doing his great practice moves at the top of episode 6. He doesn't know that there are Inquisitors there yet, but he must know that they're coming. Trouble's coming. And the episode is called Night of the Hunted. And it feels to me like he's going through his exercises, maybe on a practical version. Just like, hey, my leg doing okay? But more than anything, it's called Night of the Hunted. And he does not want to be hunted. He wants to be the hunter. And those moves almost seem like a weird exercise version of a pep talk of, no, I am not hunted. I am a hunter. And the Empire might think they're here hunting me, but I am actually hunting them. And, that, and he gets that moment in the hero moment of, where is Maul? Like, he's hiding. And he's like, I'm up here above you. I have come to attack you. You didn't find me. I found you. You're the hunted one, Merrick.
Oh, you think I'm in here with you? You're in here with me. Yeah.
You think you're on this train with me? I'm on this train with that isn't not as scary.
They're just pushing on Maul's face and goes, no, I choose you on this train.
I chose you. That doesn't work. Great stuff. But I think it is about self-actualizing of, who do you want to be? Who are you? You decide, and then you must get the world to align with you, which is what Maul is like. This is who I am. Now I need the events in the world to go the way I want them to make that be true, which is challenging. Yeah, the Jedi side of this sort of just surviving theme was really interesting to me. Daki said many things about it. He said, let the Empire handle Maul. He is no longer our concern. Surviving is. Get some pushback from Devin. Is this our future? Always running, hiding? And Daki says, if it means our survival, we do what we must. And Devin says it just feels like a waste of our abilities. This is a whole. Which part of the pyramid of the hierarchy of needs are we on? Just living for another day, or using our abilities, having purpose? I liked the quote after the little subway fight where Devin says, "Master, are you okay?" And Daki is completely honest and says, "Not entirely, but I'm not dead yet." A very funny line that made me laugh out loud. But also, I want a cut of that where they animate it, where he says, "Not entirely, but I'm not dead yet," and then turns the camera and goes, "Podcasters who keep predicting my death every week." Like half of the talk about Maul Shadowlord is like, I'm surprised Daki's still alive.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think you're right. So
there's a good meta moment there. So I think Daki has this like great clarity of we can't help anybody if we're dead, and it is not a bad thing to subsist and to stay alive. Nothing else good will come of us if we do not survive. He also has a responsibility toward Devin to keep her alive. Maybe he'd do things differently if he was just by himself. But we also get that picture that he is hopeful that this is something that will be defeated and needs to be, survived through. But what was most interesting to me and why I didn't get mad at Daki is like, okay, let's see how this plays out. What's your version of surviving? It is, reaching out for help. Great. Forming, partnerships. But in the Jedi's pursuit of just surviving for themselves, they spend almost the entire episode, both episodes, but particularly 6, protecting other people. And granted, they're the ones who got the Lawsons in danger, so it'd be quite crappy to say that's not our purpose. But as soon as Daki realizes that he's brought the Inquisitor down on him, he shifts gears, and there's no just surviving. There is, we throw ourselves into harm's way again and again. He yells at Devin to go protect this, go protect that, again and again and again. He has a conversation with Brander about, I'm here to protect you. She's here to protect your son. And to me, it felt like there's this picture of just surviving is not selfish from Daki's perspective. Right. It's, I want to survive. I want everyone in danger to survive. In his attempt to survive, he doesn't just run away and hide. He protects other people. And I think maybe I'm affected by some of the stuff that did happen in my hometowns, Minneapolis, St. Paul, of some of the people who should have stepped up to make a bigger difference didn't. The mayor of Minneapolis in particular talked a big game, got a great buzzy clip by swearing at ICE. But it was people who 3D printed whistles and made programs and patrolled schools. And the I'm sure it's not original to the Twin Cities, but people talk a lot about, we protect us. And it felt to me like Daki's idea of survival was not just a personal, selfish one. It was if I survive, then other people survive. That this is, the entire community should be focused on just surviving. And when something as horrible as the Empire falls on your doorstep, there is nothing shameful about just surviving.
Yeah, you're right. I think Daki ends up where I wanted him to be in a flash of a moment that I had. That's where I wrote down the measure of good is in the intentions, because his intentions, I think, are always about protection. You're right. The protection is thrown around a lot in this episode. The actual word, or the order, or the idea. The survival leads to another important theme, which is we only need one, right? And that's about community. And we always you're talking about community. You're talking about the community coming together. That's thrown around a lot. The Citizens Fleet. It's not a Navy, sir. It's people. All those things that are there in Star Wars. Anakin talking to his mom about, no one helps each other. Community begins small, and so that is what is on Docky's mind. We just need one, and that's about our survival. But his survival has it's not just about like my frustration with him isn't like, hey, go fight, and then maybe die, and no one gets helped. It's just I think I was hearing Devon's frustration, which is easily manipulated by Maul, and therefore I'm perhaps easily manipulated by Maul in this moment. Of what are you here for? And he has that line of to Lawson or the idea of, hey, we're just kind of passing through, and if we could just get somewhere else, if you could help us, let us know. And I don't think he's like ditching anyone in that moment. I think he's talking about survival. But for me, when I heard him say like, hey, we were just passing through, I'm like, well, the Force led you here. Aren't you supposed to, this is what you're supposed to do? And I wanted it to seem more active. But again, I think he ends up where I wanted it to be, because you're right. The moment the tone changes, he doesn't go, oh, is that a red lightsaber through the door? Yoinks, I'm out.
Yeah.
They fight, right? They're there. So no one's going to call him a coward. No one's going to call him selfish. I think, and I got to remember Order 66 hanging over this, the Jedi Purge he talks about, all these things, which, by the way, is fascinating. Side note of him just going to be like, what I can only describe as a Jedi Purge, meaning, he wasn't like, oh, it was Order 66. Which is a powerful sequence that everyone's going to refer on podcasts for a long time, refer to. So, anyways, that's where that was my specific moment of frustration. Of I wish you would like maybe be more active, be more forward with the idea of helping, because that's what you're here for. That's what your skills can do, and I understand Devon's frustration. But then, and I don't think he even changes. It's not like he's like, I was wrong. We shouldn't have just survived. Let's go fight. It's all in line with what he means. Let's go in the forest. Hey, and also this is between the Empire and Maul right now, so we can let that happen, and then we'll come in and we'll see what we can do. He's got a more of a global look at what's going on here in the city, and I think I appreciated that. If that makes sense, he's off the hook for me. I just had that moment of just go do it, man. Just go do it.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I think there is a sort of like, okay, well, is there a world where he should go, you're right, Devon, we are Jedi, we are protectors. So let's go find out who's in charge and take him out. And maybe he does turn around and say, we can't get off this planet. Our presence with the Lawsons is just endangering them. So you're right. Let's go hunt out the Inquisitors. Maybe he gets to that point. But I think this is a really interesting debate about what is the wisdom, and I don't think there's anything selfish in Docky. I think there's nothing selfish about living to fight another day, and I think there's also some wisdom in we are a magnet, and we are going to bring worse things down on people. So let's just get out of this busy city, that kind of thing.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think I thought it was really interesting that Devon's last move against the Inquisitor, cutting the connection between the train cars, is choosing survival over purpose and glory. Because Maul shows up, she gets angry, she gets a little bit more ferocious. They kind of take it to him. And she could have, if she was really listening to Maul about fulfilling her purpose and glory, and Maul getting in her head about, ooh, wouldn't your master be impressed if you killed me? I think she's getting those like seeds of purpose and in glory being the most important. But I think she makes the right choice. We just cut the cable right now between these cars, and we survive. We just survive, and we live to fight another day.
Yeah. No, great moment. Would have been great if they just stabbed Merrick as well, but he's good. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter.
Yes.
He gets his later.
Probably twice. We certainly see the green gas come out of him when Ahsoka cuts him. So we'll see what colored gas comes out of him when somebody cuts him in this show, possibly.
Yeah.
Also under this just surviving, you mentioned it, but Vario's conversation with Maul, very funny, but also about the just surviving. Vario says, Maul, you got what you wanted, and I made good on my end of the deal. What do I have to show for it? And Maul says, you live. I think it's so great. It's funny because on one hand, on the bottom of the hierarchy of needs, it's the most basic. Did you win anything today by continuing to exist? Wah, 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 what a joke. But at the other hand, what do any of us have that is more valuable than being alive? and
Right.
continuing to be alive and being able to make another choice. So,
Mm-hmm.
the show's really dealing with some interesting themes here, and I think I totally fine if people disagree or have a different spin, but it's really resonating with me because I think the show is sort of like I think lots of actors are poking at the is it? Oh, you just survived.
Mm-hmm.
What a waste. And like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of the whole idea in one of the main ideas in The Last Jedi that Poe is
Mm-hmm.
wrestling with.
Yeah.
Poe wants to purpose and glory and do the big uh punch to the
Yeah.
bad guy's face. And the whole conflict with Leia and Holdo is that fight will come, but today the fight is just survive, just live.
Yeah. Where they win the overall thing. And yeah, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Vario moment was one of my favorite moments that really highlighted it because also you're seeing it through a very different perspective, right?
Yeah.
But I think he kind of summed it up. All we're talking about is he summed up in that little like, yeah, you got a point. I'm alive. Yeah, good. That's good.
Because he's thinking about his bigger purpose of like, I want to be a gangster, I want to have all this thing, and I want to benefit from every turn. Like, in my dealings with Maul, he has killed almost everyone else involved. And I'm still alive, so I think I'll stick around.
That's a win. Yep.
Yeah. I thought there's also a little bit of a thread of that with Brander and Riley as well. We get to learn a little bit more about Riley and see the mom Drea. But there's that very brief scene where Riley and Devin are exchanging life experiences up to a point where Devin just says, I think my life is real different. But he talks about his mom being there, not being there, and says, I've got school and the team, and like we are getting to see everything that he has, which is it's sad. There's some divorced dad energy in it. Things aren't right. But he was playing a game and getting cheered and has friends and teammates, and he has this room with his family, and we don't get to school, but he's got school. And that's all of self-actualization stuff. Here's community. Here's what makes me who I am. And by the end of these episodes, he doesn't have any of that. It burned. It's gone. He's just surviving too.
Yeah. No, great stuff there. Very again, because it's focused on not just the family. It's the way they shoot everything with Riley and Brander. That house, the moments, the keys in the bowl coming home from it. It's so wonderfully lived in, and it just kind of drives home what they're fighting for, what they're losing, and what's happening to them.
Yeah, there's one of the greatest bits of animation in this episode was just the ratty ass welcome rug right inside the door that looks like just shag that's been through hell. It's so good, so real and lived in.
Brander's jacket, this leather jacket that has the patches, the little textures, and it's been through things. I love that too.
Yeah, everything in this show has been through things. So the next big idea that I wanted to talk about is this all the different sort of versions of allies, of the way the characters are asking who is a good ally. So all the characters have alliances that I think are sort of breaking and reforming in these episodes. And I feel like a lot of them, there's the two boots framing of it that made me think about this. Like a lot of the choices of who is a good ally, if that's a question of these episodes, a lot of it comes down to emotional intelligence versus protocol or rules or structure. Don't follow protocol, follow your experience, your lived experience, and follow your gut. And it feels like the characters who are making good alliances are using emotional intelligence, and the ones who are not are using protocol and rules. How do you feel about that big picture idea?
Yeah, absolutely. It ties into the other thing I think that's in the same bucket of I just put down when they come for you too, which is really just the tale of two boots and his boots. It's a nice little way to show it, but it is just like what again intentions, the measure of good. That's why I was focusing on that of like who you're reaching out to, even with Riley going to his mom, I'm not throwing mom under the bus here. I don't know the whole story, but just like even she's got some of the lines of just cooperate. The troopers are there. It's to keep everyone safe. It's good. Like, well, that ain't an ally. That's not what is going on. That is not as what is absolutely happening here on the ground. You know, and it's standard operating procedure. There's a lot of stuff in the background with the PAs and the droids in the background. Swift cooperation saves lives. A lot of that stuff is popping up in the back, putting out this message. It is the lies they're selling. It is what they're trying to tell you is true, and on the ground, and they're coming for you. And how do you react to that? And who sees that? I agree with you. Is who you connect with.
Yeah, no, I think great points about all the Empire, and I think there's a lot of a surface level of control and calm and protocol, and everything's going exactly the way it should, and we get to see all the chaos rumbling underneath the chaos and the cruelty. In terms of like the different factions choosing allies, I wanted to ask you how you were feeling about Maul. We talked about it a little bit at the top, but I feel like Maul, these episodes, is really making the push to make himself feel like a better ally to a valid ally to Devon into the audience. We get the quote centering this in the first episode where Devon says, "I dislike him, Maul, as much as you, but he may have a point about the Empire. Isolated, none of us stand a chance against them." And Daki, fact, yep, yeah, and normally like good, solid Star Wars advice. You are not alone. Make compromises, make friends, work together. Look, the Ewoks have value. The Gungans have value. Talk to Tusken Raiders respectfully and make a deal. And you are all of Book of Boba Fett is like, hey, what if every asshole who comes at me became my friend? Good Star Wars wisdom, except maybe when that's not really what the person wants is allyship. And Doc says the Empire may be our common enemy, but Maul will never be our ally. We also get it from Maul's perspective when Rook Cass is like, "Oh, you want to go after that Jedi and protect her from the Jedi Hunter?" And Maul says she need only prove her resilience, and she will find me her ally. So everybody's explicitly thinking about this sort of idea of being an ally. And I feel like it's slightly different than the manipulations that we saw in the first episode, where he's like, "Okay, you want me to be this scary shadow in the dark,
right?
And let me tempt you with the idea of use your purpose, good, ego, won't people be proud of you? Isn't it unfair that people took things from you? I'm pushing you, and doesn't that make you angry?" Like, he's doing a lot of these kind of manipulations, but now it's just really like, that great line about here's the face of your true enemy. Is so powerful. Like, I have to be the ally because I'm, number 2 on the evil call sheet. They're number 1 on the evil call sheet. And I really felt that emotionally. Waiting for him to show up is Merrick, who was put over well as a horrible villain, really put Devon through her paces, and that Vader like hammering on her, with the saber. I was thrilled when Maul showed up, and he did feel like a safe space. The devil, and when she ignites the blade to be like, okay, he's gone, but I'm still going to fight you. I'm not going to buy your bullshit. And the way he, turns off the blade and has the sign in the face of your true enemy, and that fabulous shot of him looking kind of pained. Just there's like he's not snarling, he's not smug, he's not pushing her. There's a please take my hand energy. Like, not explicitly sad, but he's not pushing, he's not angry. He's just like, please, can we be allies? This is what I need right now. This is what you need right now. And I can't say if I was in Devon's shoes, I wouldn't go, yeah, I'm going to roll the dice on Maul. But I also know it's wrong. It's wrong. He's wrong. He wants her to be a tool. He wants her to be a weapon. So how did you feel about all of the discussion about Maul being a good ally or not in these episodes?
I think it's textbook manipulation. I want to know how much Maul believes, and hey, yeah, you and I could rule the galaxy type of vibe. We know, as we discussed earlier, it's all for him. That's not in doubt from me. But I'm just like, when he's spitting these facts, and some of the stuff, like we said, is a fact. Well, especially, I love that line. Now that you've seen the face of your true enemy, it ain't me, right? Like, come on, I'm lowering my blade. Look at me, my lips quivering. I just won't be friends. It's textbook manipulation stuff, right? And selling the not holding you back to do, whatever you want. Aren't you supposed to help? Isn't that what you Jedi are supposed to do? And you can't even do that. He just banger after banger of manipulation hits. And it's played out so well. And in a series that we knew going in was going to be about dark side manipulation, they're finding some fun. I say fun, but they're finding some wrinkles in it that has made it really interesting. Because again, you and I came into this. We said last week we released videos about it. Don't believe the dark side, and I'm here like, well, look, just maybe for 5 minutes.
So he got you.
Maybe for 5 minutes.
Maul got you these episodes.
Yeah. I would have shaken his hand and be like, all right. Yeah. And then I would have paid. I would to pay the price. I think Devin will pay the price. Someone's going to pay the price. Someone will pay this price for his manipulation.
Yeah, we could talk about it when we're talking about predictions or desires for next episodes, but how Riley fits in this.
Poor Riley.
Poor Riley. Come on.
Just
like
a dude that wants to play ball and impress a lady by cleaning up his room real fast.
I was playing Bodekin like a half hour ago. Yeah. So in terms of the different alliances that are made this episode, Master Daki and Brander Lawson had already started this sort of little nod of trust toward one another and helped each other out trying to get Maul. And then Master Daki trusts Brander by showing up and by telling him his full truth. But it also sort of, to me, I was thinking back about that first scene with Daki where he doesn't want to steal the fruit because he wants his philosophy to be true, that you can rely on the kindness of others. He wants the galaxy to be the thing he believes it is. And I think it kind of is with Brander. I think Daki is using his emotional intelligence of, this guy gets it in Brander. How did you feel about Master Daki coming to Brander and Riley's door?
It made a lot of sense. That's all you need. It might, you're right. It could seem a little, hey man, look what you burned my place, you got my place burnt down. But I think that stuff was going to potentially happen. Anyways, Brander was, I think, just lucky to kind of give him enough information or paint enough picture for Marek that he's released and not going the way of Kleiss. I thought it was, and there's some of that visual. Master Daki's hurt, man. He ain't feeling good, as he said, and just that visual of them kind of huddled in the corner was
like
a different kind of, like refugees, and a different kind of, hey, we're here to team up and need help. It's like, no, we're vulnerable right now, and you're the only one I can trust with our vulnerability. I thought that was a powerful choice, and I like that Riley's just kind of like, yeah, these people showed up, and I'm giving them medicine or whatever.
Yeah, they asked to talk to you, and so I gave them tea, and it's really, really great. And the threat of, at least we're not harboring Jedi is so good. Yeah, I think I think the thing about I think it is Daki's good instincts to trust Brander Lawson, and I'm so curious to see how it all plays out for everyone involved. I'm sure there will be some tragedy, but also I think Brander was only let go by Marek because Marek, went and investigated the crime scene where they tried to attack Maul and saw that there's multiple lightsabers here. There are Jedi here. Brander knows there are Jedi here. If I let Brander go and follow him, he will lead me to the Jedi, which is, I think, why Marek was on him so quickly. Yeah. So we're having fun talking about all these philosophical questions, but it's all often, this thing where the Empire narrows your choices, because Brander was cooked at the beginning of these episodes, because if Marek could have done whatever awful thing he did to Kleiss with those fingernail marks to Brander, but just chose to let him go to help locate the Jedi. So Brander was cooked either way before the Jedi showed up. It wasn't Daki and Devin coming to his door that cooked Brander. It was the Empire.
Yeah. And his actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and being a trustworthy dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then there's this alliance between Brander and Rena Soul, and we got to learn even more about that. And I
Yeah.
think this is another great point of looking at this sort of allyship choices between, lived experience, emotional intelligence versus what seems correct on the surface or by the rules. She seems like the portrait of an untrustworthy figure, a
Yeah. Yeah.
a former bounty hunter who owns a casino, a business designed to prey on
Hmm.
people and rip them off. Let's believe in the kindness of casino owners is not a thing that I think even Master Daki would
No.
agree with is a good catchphrase.
Yeah.
But we learn their shared lived experience. Brander's story about them being running together and getting trapped in a bad situation. He says, "I'm only alive because of her, and she's only
Mm.
alive because of me." Is such a great line about community and about,
Mm.
we protect us, and just surviving means I survive and I help you survive sometimes, and that's
Mhm.
what makes this partnership with Rena valuable and wise. Do you have any thoughts on that relationship?
It is really interesting and compelling the way it's just being played out so realistically, especially with there's some moments with Riley and his mom, right, where it comes up and she's like,
Yep.
like, Devin has some funny reactions to it as well, of just like, what's going on here. No, she's a fascinating character because you're exactly right. It is about the intentions, right? Again, and what's it's beyond just a shared distaste for authority in the empire. And funny because Brander is the authority in a lot of ways around her, but it is seeing for things as what they are, and it's a natural person to run to. I love the character Pamela Adlon, of course, voicing it, but you love her ability to kick, punch, and get on out of there to help these folks. It's she's the anti Vario to me. She's the antidote to Vario of the
Hmm.
underworld.
Yeah, and that was another moment that made me feel like this a little bit harder edged attitude toward the empire, because we have lots of little
Hmm.
like, hey, you need to see you're doing what to me? Why? You can't do that. Don't touch me. All that kind of stuff. And
Yep.
her going down there is,
Hmm.
a seasoned person of the galaxy, clearly being like, "Hell, I'm the owner, and I can kind of,
Hmm. Play it. Yeah.
yeah, I can play this, right?" And then just
Hmm.
like immediately like, "No, we don't care that you're owner." Like, did you hear what I said? Like, there's
Yeah.
anger toward them, which is righteous and
Yeah.
cathartic, that she's like, "Oh, I thought I was going to play this, but instead, I'll punch you in the
I got.
head."
Yeah. We got to do this. Yeah. Got to do this.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Last thing for me in this sort of theme of who is a good ally, and perhaps the most important in some ways, is the two boots of it all.
Hmm.
Extremely painful. His breaking his allegiance to Brander, thinking he's doing the right thing, continuing to cling to protocol, and I think finally realizing his identity is going to be stripped away from him by the Empire.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and Two Boots is fascinating because been seeing a lot of people discuss sort of like being a little bit more on his side of like, well, it is the protocol, and he's just doing the right thing for
Mhm.
him, and he's making some good points and all that. But to me,
Right.
as this sort of framing of like, droids are complicated sentient beings in Star Wars, and
Hmm.
some of
Hmm.
them cling more to their protocol, like 3PO, and some of them, like R2, are more like, nah, man, I've been places. I've seen
Yeah.
things. I'm a droid,
Yeah.
but I have emotional intelligence. And Two Boots is way far on the early 3PO side, and he has
Mm.
zero emotional intelligence. And we even get that in a great line from Brander when he says, Two Boots, you're smart, but you just don't get it.
Yeah.
And the cruelty toward Riley of when Riley says, Two Boots, you've known me my whole life. And he says, that does not change protocol.
Yeah.
And all building to that great moment where the horrible Imperial weasel
Yeah.
says about his namesake, about the boots, these are not standard issue droid, get rid of them. And he's got that great digital blink of like,
Yeah.
what have I done? Total Arrested Development, camera zoom in. What have I done?
Her. Yeah. Yeah. It's. I'm not making fun of the sentiment behind the meme that's out there a lot, but like he's looking down at his boots, going, first they came for the Jedi, then they came, and then they came for my boots. It does work in that blink you said, and I think it's some of the more powerful stuff. The standard issue protocol, all that kind of stuff, you could go a lot of different directions with that, but I kind of took it as like, yeah, there's been these norms for a while because remember, Two Boots also has this. Yeah, back in the Republic days, this is the protocols changed, but that's what we used to do then. This is what we do now. It's all good. It's the protocol. I mean, it's tragic comedy, but isn't this great? I think Brander's gonna like what I've done. Look at all the resources. They're so generous. All these resources are here to help us, and oh, here it is. And not only is he a wanted fugitive, they've authorized deadly force, and that is protocol. What are you gonna do? It's protocol, but it plays on different ways. But for me to spit it out slightly personal, it's just kind of sometimes the frustrations you might have with those. We're just like, we're not dealing with things that used to be, quote, in your day or under the old guard or the way they were. Look at what's happening, and judge things on what is happening. Judge the measures of these people you think is good by their intentions, by their goals, and by what they're actually doing and what they're hiding behind, right? Protocol, don't just comply. What are you doing? If you hadn't put yourself in that spot, we wouldn't have had to do this bad thing. These are things that seem simple on the surface. They can be used in such powerful ways, but it gets frustrating when we have people like Two Boots in our lives. Just like, what are you worried about? What are you worried about? Well, now they're asking you to take your boots off, Two Boots. And I haven't read the comic yet where it explains where he gets his boots. Maybe I'll read it and this will have more emotional power to me. But you know what I mean? So this is, I think, of all, we've talked about some wonderful things here, but I think this is one of my big takeaways from the episode. It isn't just simply played for now they got your boots. It's played for you didn't see it. You didn't know to see it. Even though people were telling you. You just didn't know to challenge it. You didn't know to see it, and it has to find you. It's just tragically what it has to be sometimes. I don't wish that would be the case, but now I'm very curious to see what Two Boots does.
Me too, and I think it does have this really powerful real world. It is so much easier to learn a set of rules. You learn them young, and they're true, and it's more comforting to just not let anything touch them.
Yep.
The cops and the government and order, and this is the way it goes, and just comply, and they are here to help you. And even if this thing that they did seems like they really had no right to stop that person, they really had no right to shoot that person, wouldn't it be simpler for me if I just stuck to my protocol of, nope, this set of people are always correct, and in this situation, if A happens, you hit the A button, and that's it. That's all there is. But what you're saying so well of, hey, maybe sometimes that's worked in a functioning society. Maybe that's great. We can all follow the protocol. It's great. But when the people behind the protocol are liars, cheats, cruel fascists, then you've got to use your emotional intelligence and question the protocol. And I think, really, really, really sad and really powerful.
Yeah, and it also applies to some of the reactions to those who are, breaking the protocol or fighting against the protocol or just simply protesting against the protocol. That's why I think protests, are more effective than some people even want to believe, even those that might be in them, of just like, you are upsetting the norm. You are upsetting the norm of what is going on and what normal people see. It does upset them, and that is some of those conversations of it's like upsetting that you're blocking that intersection. You're chanting with signs, and it's just why? If you just weren't there, it'd all be fine. It'd all be fine. And that's some of the frustrations I've had in my own life, especially the last couple of years. You just can't see it.
Yeah, because you don't want to, and nobody has told you to take your boots off yet.
No one's told you to take your boots off yet.
They will. They will. And the boots are so great because, I haven't read the comic, and I'm happy to just analyze this because this is the text it is, and I'm excited to read those comics, but also, like, if they wanted us to know the comics, they should have got the comics out before the show. The comics being released at the same time as the show is like, I know it's hard. And I'm sure they had some publishing backups, but I wish they had released the comic all the way before the show, and then I would have happily read it and known where he got his boots. But he's so protocol obsessed, but he seems to really love Brander. And there's these flashes of humanity of like, I almost got destroyed, and taking the calf, even though he doesn't need the calf. And like, the boots are so like, oh, I'm fascinated to learn where he got them, but it kind of doesn't matter. He made a choice to go against protocol in this
Mm-hmm.
fun personality name defining way,
Yeah.
and to have
Yeah.
that sort of the thing. Again, I think a lot of the show is about choosing your identity and like, well, this is who I am. I'm not like every other droid. I wear the weird moon boots and people call me Two Boots, and that's who I am. And
Yep.
now the world, the Empire is saying, no, you can't be that. You can't be who you
Yep. Yeah.
decided to be.
Mm-hmm. I am now in violation of the very thing I told others to cling to. Uh-oh.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oopsie.
So for me, one other big idea that I wanted to touch on is the thing we've been talking about a lot on these episodes is that idea of identity and can you choose it for yourself or is it going to be forced on you? In a way, I thought the biggest thing in this episode about identity and choosing it, there's lots of things, but the Empire, the identity of the Empire was sort of at stake in these in these episodes. The Empire is of course saying this is who we are. We are order and we are protocol and we are just doing the right thing. But the episode goes out of its way to show us that it's a lie, that fascism does not bring order. It does not make the trains run on time. It disrupts systems and it forces unnatural change and compliance and chaos. Bunch of great moments of that. There's the little scene where Riley is coming to the office and he's the cop shop and he's down in the sort of admissions area, and the two droids in the basically the admission area are having this debate about like I can't I've been reassigned, I'm supposed to check out this area of town and my thing doesn't work, and the other one's like, I don't care, I have too much to do, and like, what about this is order? This is chaos. It's chaos at the train station. It's chaos on the streets. It's chaos everywhere. Even Spybot, one of his great lines, my favorite Spybot line these episodes, when he's looking for the Jedi and he's looking at all of the videos of disruption the Empire caused everywhere, and he says, "Scan the chaos." It's a lie. The Empire is they're trying to say, "Here's who I am." And the world is like, no, that ain't it. And great lines from when Brander says to Riley, the Empire is not really what they say they are. Riley says that none of this makes any sense, and Brander says that the Empire isn't what you think it is. How did you feel about the Empire in terms of the depiction of their identity in these episodes?
Yeah, I think it was just a real realistic approach to it. You feel it. You feel the crawl coming over you, the boot coming down. That phrase we use a lot around here. And you're absolutely right. When Spybot sees it, you know what it is. Again, it's the reality of it, and it is tough to face. Riley's probably confused. Number one, his mom has a job there, right? Like Bodhi Rook drove a truck, a space truck for them. Like it is normal. It does keep a lot of people employed, and it keeps things just moving. And so yeah, it's upsetting. The rallies, and so they really did a good job of just depicting the slow but rapid crawl and how they get to define these words. We got it. We got it under control, but it's chaos. They get to define it, and they're going to keep trying to define it and define themselves for you until you either just roll over or see it as the new normal, right? And I think that's what I loved. One of the things I loved about this episode is just much like Bad Batch, but same vibe. Especially no coincidence. I think Jennifer Corbett wrote that first episode of just here's the actual how the functionality of their oppression on a lower level, boot by boot.
Yeah, and I think that scene with Drea was great emotional development for Riley and Brander and all of it, but it was also everything she said was empty of any specificity or context. It was almost her version of just follow the protocol. If troopers are there, it's to keep everyone safe. That's the protocol. That's the truth. It doesn't matter the context or the reality. If they ask you to do something, just comply. What about Dad? He should comply too. The emptiness. It was. I love what you mentioned with her hair, going behind her ear, and I believe that she cared about her son and was worried about everything, but it's clinging to the safety of this empty lie that they are order.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I think we've all faced that in our lives.
Yeah.
People who care, people who are connected, people that truly love, who are just selling the lies without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not like the Empire won't get more bold or more obvious, but I also liked in these episodes, there's this great horror film quality to Merrick, and the great shot from the trailer that we finally saw in this episode of him just appearing from the shadows. But
Oh yeah.
Merrick didn't proudly walk down the plank with citizens. Also, here's first brother Merrick.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yes.
He's lurking in the shadows. The true power of all this that they're not comfortable really letting the galaxy see. He's the true face. You know, a masked nightmare man is the true face of the Empire.
Yep. Speaking up the chain to darker lords behind it all.
Darker Lords. There you
Which
go.
one? We don't know.
That's your heavy metal album. We can talk about. And I think there's a lot of continuing identity stuff with everything we've talked about, with the Jedi being forced out of hiding and, you know, needing to reveal their identity, and sort of being given this new identity that they don't want of the fugitives, Inquisitor hiding his identity, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Any other big picture ideas in these episodes that you wanted to discuss, Ken?
No, scrolling just to make sure. I think we got it. I just put down this one just to remind. Maul fights for himself. There, I needed to. There it is. That was my reminder to myself.
Yes, I am trying to remember the wise words of Master Iodi Godaki. Do not allow his poison to affect your mind. I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna enjoy his poison and try not to let it affect my mind.
Oh yeah, you know. let them fight. Let him and Merrick fight. Let them fight.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It was great. It was great. So rooting for Maul in those moments. Love always to talk about canon connection, larger Star Wars stuff. Sometimes big picture stuff. Sometimes just fun little references. Let's talk the big question, Ken, of the Inquisitor's boss. I think they had fun. Not showing us who it is, but I'll throw this out there. I have no question it's Vader, because that's the protocol. He's the boss of the Inquisitors. Unless Merrick has a side deal with Palpatine, why wouldn't he be calling Vader? So did you have is it Sidious? Is it Vader? Is it Galen Starkiller or Mara Jade?
Oh boy.
Sorry. For opening Star Wars.
Yeah, it's too early in the
Can
day
of
for
Cahoons.
that. A Cahoon's nest. Yeah, I think in the first moment, I went to Sidious first, but then you're right. It's not necessarily the Rankin. And then I was like, it could just be the Grand Inquisitor, but the use of my lord, I don't recall that happening. I'm just doing that kind of thing. And then I thought, I know we got the other Inquisitor on the way, and I always forget his name. I'll call him Steampunk Face. I think, if there's a rank system, but again, it's that use of it. And it just makes sense. Who would you want to tell this to? Who do you need to tell this to? It would be Lord Vader. I'm going that.
Yeah. In the discussion about Maul in particular, it's really interesting to me if Vader has I'm going around, I'm proving myself to Sidious, to Palpatine, and we've seen all the various adventures he's had a lot in the comics of getting his blade,
still early,
getting the assignment to build the castle on Mustafar, which we know takes him a while, hunting various Jedi, but I wonder if it's really interesting to me if Vader has but I'm really interested in Maul. Maul killed Qui-Gon, which, whether Vader wants to think of himself as Anakin or not was still something that was done to him, taken from him. Anakin first saw Maul and probably had, fear in his heart when Anakin was a small and helpless child. So I think if Vader just has some I need to stay angry and I want to put it somewhere, Maul feels like a real good place to go. I'm gonna show myself who I am. I'm gonna show Sidious who I am. I hate this guy, and he's less than me. The Nightmare Man who frightened me on Naboo, I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I wonder how much, not how much memory he retains, but how much connection he retains to sometimes what he refers to internally as the Jedi, Anakin, right? And yeah, how much is he just like, yeah, you tried to run me down on your space scooter, and I took that personally.
Yeah.
It could be that. It definitely connected to the daddy issues of the day. And we're having fun with it. I don't need to turn it into like a Robot Chicken sketch, but it's like, is Sidious ever around? Does he ever bring that stuff up? I mean, we know he's got secret other apprentices. We know some of the comic stuff that's early in this Vader's career, so to speak, around this time. You know that Palpatine's got a lot of wild other things, other potential apprentices, and testing Vader every time of the day. Is there ever a point where he's like, I had a good one in Maul, not like you? Ooh, well, I sent him to Tatooine to kill you, and he failed. Yeah, I wonder how much he just rubs it in. So having fun with it, but it is definitely, I think, an undercurrent of what could be going, emotional undercurrent in Vader's psyche at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think he is in his conscious mind going, Maul killed Qui-Gon, and he would have been a better dad, and things would have worked out for me. I think it's deep down. I don't think it's a thing he consciously processes. I think it's hey, this is another source of anger for me to draw on, and I don't analyze it and I don't think about it. I just act on it. And
because to me, it would be less. You're right. It would be less of like, oh, if only Qui-Gon had won. That was the duel of the fates. You see, I think I think especially at this point, he's still maybe working through some of it versus what he comes to the conclusion with Kenobi later on. But he's got to be like, if not for this bleep, Padme might still be alive. That might be it. How dare you? You took my love from me. I still might be Darth Vader. I still made that commitment, but this path led to her death, and that's one thing I wanted to stop. And you're part of that, man. You're part of that. It all started with you.
That's I think the Padme of it all is that's fascinating. Yeah, and I continue to hope for a confrontation between them for many reasons, but one of them because they both know uncomfortable things about one another that neither of them really wants to focus on, right? So if the confrontation happens, I'm sure the action will be phenomenal. If it's a draw, if Vader just takes it to Maul, all that stuff is great. But more than anything, I want I know who you are, Vader. I saw you as a scared little boy. And Anyway, excited for that. I wanted to briefly touch on Master Daki's Jedi mind trick. I like that it was similar to the classic mind trick, the first one we saw in Star Wars: A New Hope, just Star Wars at the time of release. But I feel like they found a little fresh comedy in it when the other TK trooper was like, "Hey, why did you not scan their docs? They are free to." Go. So to me, I brought it up as a canon thing because it's the thing that can rankle sometimes of like, we established that Jedi have this ability, so they're going to do it often. But then sometimes people get grumpy about like repetition in Star Wars. So I wanted to ask you how you felt about it.
No, it's great. I wrote that too. The great line, again, a realistic look at it. Not that we don't have that with Kenobi, but we the speeder moves on, and we don't see the other stormtrooper on Tatooine going, "Why'd you let that speeder by?" So that was a fun twist on it, and it is part of an ongoing discussion of if the Jedi have these kind of powers, why don't they always use them? And then to me, you could look at the force depletion and the video game kind of side of it, but it's like the Phantom Menace thing. If you could, Obi-Wan, run, sprint, run, get through the things because you guys did it in the first. In the opening sequence of Phantom Menace, I kind of love those debates, but I just kind of like that not that the Jedi are limited, but it is not this superpower button that they can press or need or want to press all the time.
That is deployed in specific circumstances. Because it is taking away somebody's agency. It's it is a violation, and I like that there's discussion about that in various, mostly in publishing discussions of it. And there's a great Clone Wars episode about using the Jedi mind trick to really unwillingly pull information from people's minds, which then Darksiders do all the time. I also wanted to touch on Daki's age when we talk about canon. So he's got the quote to Devon when they're waiting for the train of "Worry not. Throughout my long life, I have seen the galaxy endure many changes. Tyranny is always defeated. We must remain hopeful." So I feel like that could be like, hey, I remember when the Nile were really causing bad things,
Yep.
but that was defeated, and this other thing was defeated. Or is this guy older than Yoda? You know, what,
Mm.
what did he fight on Malachor and make it off before the bomb went off?
Right.
Like how old did you entertain the possibility of Daki being as old as Yoda? Older?
I definitely think he's High Republic. I definitely think this guy's had 9 egg stew with Porter Ingle. He's probably had some conversations with Yoda during that time too on the Starlight Beacon. A couple hundred years for me made sense.
Mhm.
I don't know as old as Yoda or Maz Kanata, but I definitely took. My immediate thought was, High Republic comic. I know the High Republic's kind of finished its initial run, but there's going to be more. But yeah, that's where I went with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think definitely a couple hundred years old. Definitely a High Republic to have been through that. But there's a lot in this show that's just feeling really fresh, and it felt fresh to me. Of like, there's no reason another Jedi can't be older than Yoda.
Right.
Him just being like, I never wanted to be Grandmaster. I'm just, I've just been showing up for duty the last 2,000 years.
Surviving, doing my thing.
Just surviving, just like I'm really loving him. He's so calm and balanced, and brings it when he needs to. So great.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to talk about Daki's revelation, what he tells Brander, that he and Devin survived what could only be described as a purge of the Jedi Order. I thought that was great because he didn't have a name for it. Order 66. It's not in the history books. Maybe Daki doesn't even fully understand what happened. Did he manage to call into the Jedi Temple and get Obi-Wan's, program message saying everything's fallen, stay away? Or did he have to piece it together?
Right.
Also, this show has been doing a nice job of reminding us that it is the Star Wars lore, but I don't feel like we always get reminded that it isn't just that Palpatine killed almost all the Jedi. It's that he framed them as traitors and took away their identity and their legend. And Brander has that little eye pop of like, is that what happened to purge the Jedi Order? I thought you all got killed in an uprising that was successfully put down. So how did you feel about all that?
I think it's in line with a little bit of what we're talking about, or the protocol of it all, right? Of what you were told, and when it's reframed, do you buy into it? Do you see it? Does it make sense? He has early on, episode 1 or 2, has the laser sword. I haven't seen one of these since Clone Wars, which is not too far in the rearview mirror, right? It's still pretty new. And this is someone, out there on Gen X. I don't know how many Jedi were hanging out there in the past or were there, and I don't know what their position was in the Clone War. But I absolutely think it was a poignant moment, and that's going to help reframe the story for Brander and spurn him on, I think, to more action. I really do think so. But also just, fun in the terms of the lore, but to see that perspective of it, because the Jedi were successfully erased from the history books in this way. Just to put that purge word on it. I thought it was a great moment.
Yeah, I really, really loved it. Daki was sharing gems throughout this episode. Final thing for me in the canon is the Cahoon's reference. With the Cahoon's nest that's been stirred up out there, there's heat on everyone right now. Those are the creepy crawlies that Zam Wesell uses to attempt to assassinate Padme in Attack of the Clones. We had a Nexu reference. This show's just wearing its Attack of the Clones specific love on its sleeve. I love it.
It really is. This is why, I think Dexter Diner, I think Dexter franchised his diner. There's one on Janix. I'll remain hopeful.
Dexter's on the table. Maybe Maul and Vader will battle throughout the city and they'll smash into Dexter's Diner. All right. Any other canon stuff that you picked up or wanted to discuss?
No, I think you hit the big ones there. I do love seeing, again, this era, different Stormtrooper helmets, as they're shaping up to be the Stormtroopers we know, some of the transports and stuff, the Clone Wars there run strong through it, as it should, timeline-wise, but it's fun to see.
Yeah. Great stuff. Excited to see how the trooper presence and casualty rate develops as these episodes go. So we always love to talk favorite moments. This is a dark show with bad things happening to cool people, but there's also a lot of comedy and fun in it. So we like to talk about this in our whimsy watch section as well. So Ken, You just hit me with as many favorite moments as you want, and we'll see how many of mine you knock off the board to keep us rolling.
Let's see. Some of them, yeah, they always come up. I'll highlight again the Star Destroyer arriving over the city. Just a great use of something we're super familiar with. Again, that's kind of a theme that's popping up. A little bit of reframing. And again, Andor did such a good job of it. Other shows have as well. We're used to an Imperial Star Destroyer flying over in an ominous way. It's just something about the bright day, the sun, the clouds, a city in motion, and this comes over it, and the scale of it I thought was really impressive and a great way to start the episodes. I also we could probably put down a lot of Spybot lines, but I do think so many impy shinies is an all-time line. I think if you're out there listening, you don't start a punk band called the Impy Shinies. What are you doing? What are you doing with your musical ability? It's been the center of so much of what we're talking about today, but I still think it's important to highlight just the Master Daki and Devin on the railing, having that running, hiding, and a waste of our abilities conversation. That's what I mean up top of in an episode or two episodes. Well, the first episode, like I said, a little slower in a way, but in episodes that move so fast and are designed to be Star Warsy in the whiz bang way, they take these moments as important conversation, and it made everything else important. That's nothing new. Other shows do it as well. I just like the way they're approaching it. Bad Batch did it too as well. No surprise, it's the same team. But I thought it was just it's the crux of the episode. It is the center of it all, and it's important to have that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I really think it's great that you highlight just like how focused that discussion is. It's a match to the Bad Batches. I hadn't thought about it this way. I think that's a great point. It's a match to the Bad Batch wanting to redefine all we know is to be soldiers. What does that mean now?
Yeah.
How should we change what we do to be our truest selves?
Yeah. Indeed. I had the mind trick moment on there too. I mentioned it already, but Maul training by himself. Again, I think he's partially envisioning Kenobi. I think that would make sense. That's what's driving him in so many ways. That's the heart of his pain. But it was just, again, to take the moment on the live show, we made a reference to William Sadler and his villainous character in Die Hard 2, naked and training. We didn't see a Maul robot butt, but same kind of vibe to me. Same kind of vibe. And just, again, taking the time to do that. And just that's why I was kept thinking, what is he thinking about? I think he's thinking about the fight with Kenobi and Qui-Gon. But just in a show that's about Maul, that is also through the perspective of other folks, we really just get to spend time with him. And it's Rook that shows up, right? Rook just got to be like, here he goes again. And I love their relationship too. I'm with you. I want a little more Rook because it's just Vanessa Marshall's doing a great job of just communicating so much. Because I still think she's going to be at odds with it. We'll see. So a couple of just moments. That Maul shot on the train, the tunnel behind him. That's just beautiful. A lot of those things. Master Daki's line too of not entirely, but I'm not dead yet. So the final two I want to put are force or fight moves, and I think you and I are going to have one. So I just want to shout out Devin force pulling a pilot out of the cockpit. Number one, kind of cool. You could feel her pressing the X and L2 button at the same time to kind of hit this. But also just they're in the fight, so I'm not accusing her of doing something out of Jedi protocol or out of immoral as it relates to Jedi tactics, but it was pretty brutal, and it was highlighted, right? It wasn't just a quick thing. It was like you got the thing comes off, and so I'm like, well, she's I can see where Maul's like, this one's got the touch, this one's got the violence I need. And the final one is you and I didn't reveal it Monday, but on our live show. But I gotta think we both were inspired by what I describe as Master Eo Daki's yoink by the bucket move, where he takes his cane and flips over a stormtrooper by its bucket.
That one is great. But the action moment I was thinking of is a different one from Master Daki.
Ooh, okay.
The yoink by the bucket that was great, and the way his cane came at the cameras at the end of that move,
so good,
so powerful. He's old and he's in pain, but not now. So good. My two favorite action moments. One was the Devon transport, and I love the way that Daki's just like transport now, and has such faith in her that she's trained and great. I love that she didn't just like jump up there and cut it off and then throw him out. She grabbed him with the force first and was like, "You're not going to interfere with me."
Yep.
Grabbed him like
Yep.
by his sternum, cut it open, and
Yep.
then tossed him like a rag doll.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff.
Brutal.
Great stuff.
Brutal.
But my number one favorite action moment was what I will call the trooper sandwich, where Docky shoves the two troopers into the wall. Then a third one enters the door, and then he slams the two troopers into the bread troopers into the meat trooper, and then just a cool hand open to open the elevator. Like, we're done here.
Yes.
More Jedi should be making trooper sandwiches. Come on.
I love that. If only he yelled "Eat fresh" at the end of it in some kind of whip snap line. Yep. I like it. No, great moment. Great moment. No, I can see that. No, absolutely. That would have ranked number 2 on my list for sure. Yeah, but yoinked by the bucket and then stormtrooper sandwich.
Stormtrooper sandwich. Yep. You know, I only have to do this 5 more times, and then my discount card is full.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. I also liked Docky deflecting the huge blast from the transport with like his whole body. That was one of the things that made the action feel fresh and intense. Couple favorite moments for me, some of the similar ones, that shot of Maul at the end of the fight. Now you've seen to face your true enemy, and staring down Devon and looking slightly hurt and slightly like, please come with me. Also just that location of the train, just visually great with those lights whizzing by and the way they framed it, and you know, it made it so much more powerful. But also just like that train felt like the episode of just like this mad dash to where, you know, we're underground again, we're in the bowels again, we're in limbo, flying extremely fast to nowhere. Such a great location for that shot, as well as the visual. I thought that was fantastic. I really agree with you, and I can't stop thinking about it, is the Die Hard 2 moment after you brought that up on our live show. Maul's practicing at the beginning of the episode. I mentioned this before, but you know, when I did a rewatch of Maul's animated appearances, I was so struck by his pained ramblings when Savage Opress first finds him, which I think is just sort of repeating to himself the main tenets he was taught by Sidious, of, you know, you're everything and you're nothing, and I get to decide which, from Sidious. But he specifically says, I am fear. Always remember I am fear. Always remember I am hunter. Always remember I am filth. Always remember I am nothing. And I think that to me is just sort of like a key to, he hears that negativity of you're nothing. And that's what people have been telling him. That's what Sidious told him when he killed his brother and his mom and used him and threw him out again. And that practice all has the vibe for me of like, no. I am fear. I am hunter. I am the one that everyone should be afraid of. It's really about that sort of self-actualizing thing to me of I am who I say I am. So really cool and really powerful. And I love your take on it, that he is working through other fights that didn't go his way. Yeah. Couple other moments to highlight for me. The power of animation and comedy. One of the things that made me laugh out loud is when Chief Kleist said to Brander real early on, could be worse. It's not like we're harboring Jedi. And Brander's got these great freak out eyes. He's like, yeah. And it's almost too much.
Imagine that.
It should almost be a boing cartoon moment, but it's just the strength of the animation makes it so like, everything's terrible. Vario comedy moment, because it's funny, but it's also, I think, one of the thematic ideas of the show of everybody being sort of trapped underneath. When he has that, I think I'll stick around. Who doesn't love hiding in the bowels of the city? Bowels aren't so bad, except for the smell and the darkness, but just acknowledging, we're all hiding in the bowels, was very funny to me. I loved a little bit more of the spark from Devon, like we're talking about. Like when Riley, who clearly wants to impress her, or at least not embarrass himself, and is trying to clean his room real fast and kind of trying to impress her with Bodkin, and he's like, I got these teammates, and she says, what, like sports? Comes across as just like a real teen, and a lot of the publishing stories are like, hey, the Padawans are taught all these beautiful things about the Force and nature and connection, but they also get separated into groups, and they're competitive, and they have lunchrooms, and they're teens. They're teens, and it's like, Yeah, I trained at a Jedi temple to hone myself to the best possible version of myself, but it's cute that you throw a ball around. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was an insight into her, I think.
I think it was too. A little bit of a jock and theater girl, forced together here at the end of time.
Yeah, just a quick John Hughes movie in the middle of this, which
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
which might get more
Yep.
intense.
Yep.
Many other moments, but the only other one I'm going to highlight, we already mentioned it, but Spybot has many great lines, but scan the
Yeah.
chaos. Every time that I open social media from now on, I'm going to say to myself, scan the chaos.
He's great. Shout out to David W. Collins voicing him, and it's. I'm glad. You can always kind of, even without the subtitles or closed caption, you can make out what he says. It's really funny to me. R2 you know what R2 said. Chopper has those moments where you can hear a word or two. This is something special to me. I just he's because to so many impy shinies. Like what is going on in this little droid's head?
Yeah,
He's a dog. He's an attack chihuahua.
his protocol is to just growl and snarl at everything. I think what's so fun about it is he has this sort of a very id like nothing held back trickster,
Yeah.
just there to poke and poke and poke, while being very strategic and doing his duty, but so much anger. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to ask you about. In terms of favorite moments, obviously the cliffhanger with Merrick calling the Inquisitor boss is great, and I'm sure plenty of fun speculation everybody's having about who it is. But here's my question for you: if it is Vader, we didn't hear any breathing. So, as a professional broadcaster, Ken, do you think Vader had his mic muted while he was talking to Merrick?
Yes, absolutely. Because they did when they pull out when they come back to the shot and you pull out, you're going to see that Vader is overseeing the final stages of Fortress Vader being built, and there's some construction going on. The moment things already happened, now they're just putting the finishing touches on it. So there's a lot of like, "Hey, Mr. Vader, where are we going to put this awning? Where are these sconces going to go, Vader?" Yeah,
I'm dealing with contractors. Yeah.
Vinay, yes.
Great stuff.
Yes.
I think I know the answer to this, but did you have any questions or concerns with these episodes? Anything you didn't like or struggle with?
No. Sorry, I did that like Palpatine. No, absolutely not. This is I said on our live show Monday, I think this is some of the best Star Wars to come out in this era, and it's early to say it. You don't want to put something into the Hall of Fame before the career's over, but jump to conclusions. But they just got such a good handle on what they're doing with the story and these little moments. And I remember when this show was announced, even in my heart, I had like, oh, that's cool. But what do you do with that? What do you do with Maul? And I get the lore of it and the criminal underworld and how he ends up from there to there. And I want all those answers. And maybe the series will get us closer to those things. But much like Bad Batch, remember, you and I are kind of in that bucket of Space A-Team? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just they take this concept, and I know Dave a lot of the time is like, hey, I got this idea, or you want to work with me on this idea? Now it's yours. Go take it. And he swings in and out, but he just trusts them to do their own thing with it. And that's why I keep wanting to praise how they approach it and the realism and the little moments and everything. It's been truly fun to watch so far. It's going to be a great, easy rewatch. So yeah, do I have any concerns? The concern is that I won't get enough.
I think that is the concern floating around out there, that I think people are loving the world, the characters, the vibe. So there's a little pull to feeling like this is moving really fast. We only have 4 episodes left, and like, how big of a story is this going to be by the time it's done? By the time it's done, is there going to be feeling like this could have been a 90-minute movie pared down, and it isn't really episodic television. It's not like Adventure of the Week, which I think there's a pull towards it because the characters are really great. It's like, couldn't we have like a 42-minute episode where this is the episode where Brander investigates this murder, and the B story is Maul has a fight with Rook Cast and gets her back, and like it's so pleasurable. I think there is maybe a pull to want it to be structurally something it isn't and when it's never
Yeah.
built to do. I think it's going to be a compact story. I think by the end of it, it's only going to have covered so much ground.
Yeah.
And it's more about this sort of serial adventure. And I think that's one of the many reasons they already announced the season 2 of like, if you're real invested in Devon, her arc is not going to be even remotely complete by the end of season 1. And I think, yeah. And so it doesn't bother me because I want to let things be what they are. I don't want to get mad at a taco because it's not a piece of pizza,
Right. Yeah.
And I think chapter 5 might have felt that way to some people because it is a little slower and it's laying some groundwork. And then chapter 6 is like, what is it? Just this explosion of movement. And, but I think the whole thing is going to feel that way of like one big fast moving adventure.
Yeah. And all on Janix, right? So, that makes me even more curious for the next season. What's the cliffhanger to take us to that? Fun.
Yeah. So predictions or hopes for the future. What are you looking forward to in the next couple episodes?
That might have been just that there, right? Too, of exploding this out into a larger part of the galaxy. I think we are interested in backup coming for Merrick to help Merrick out. So let's get to that. It's a prediction, but also I can't call it a hope. But very intrigued by now. Devon has been left alone with Maul, and the situation has changed from the first time when she was captured and all that kind of stuff, and the tea and all. This is something different. You've now seen my actions. We're on the same side. All that kind of stuff. That's scary to me, and that just makes me think my final prediction. It's not the end for him, I don't think, but Master Daki is one step closer to death.
Oh yeah, I'm not dead yet, podcasters, but close.
Pretty close.
I didn't expect even if we're wrong and that hologram is Sidious, I still think we're heading toward Vader. Vader is the boss of the Inquisitors. Why wouldn't he call Vader?
Right.
But teasing Vader, if we are correct, this early makes me feel like, ooh, maybe Daki is headed for the honor of being defeated by Vader himself. Which I think, we've got to see in publishing Vader take out a lot of Jedi. But there's been a long-standing thing, especially for folks our age who were told decades ago that Vader hunted down and killed all the Jedi. That I wonder if there is a desire, like, let's get it on the screen a little bit more of Vader fulfilling what, wherever age you were when you first saw A New Hope. That vision of Vader marching around and doing this.
Right.
Yeah. So I have great faith for a spectacular, emotional, moving finale for Daki. I think my biggest thing about the next episode that I'm really interested in is the Riley X Factor. Riley and Devon are sort of they're set up well to be paired to kind of have this sort of which paternal figure should we lead to. We have now Riley's in the same place as Devon of having his life and his future stripped from him. And now what? Who do I want to be when I've had everything taken from me? I ain't playing Bodakin and I can't go home again, But I think the thing that interests me about it most is Maul has got Devon in the palm of his hand. And he's not lying to her that he's brutal, incapable of brutal things and a crime lord. But he wants in his heart to have somebody who sees him is thoughtful tea sipping Maul, not just Nightmare Man. I think Maul would like to get rid of Riley immediately. But I wonder if there's almost going to be a sitcom thing where Maul has to be kind of nice to Riley because he can't just be a brutal monster to Riley in front of Devon. If he has to be like, of course you're both welcome. Riley, please go hang out with the Knight brothers while I speak with Devon. While I have tea with Devon. And just
teach them ball.
teach Scorn and Icarus Bodakin. Yeah. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah, no, he's interesting little pebble dropped in the lake here right now, or the pond.
Very excited for the next episode. So final question as always, Ken, if you could have merch inspired by these episodes, what would it be?
Look, you and I have sometimes complained in the past of action figures that come with jetpacks and things that aren't actually in the show or have some sort of weird like action, move. But I do think we need Docky with yoink by the bucket move, where it just automatically flips. So you put a little cane under you get a little stormtrooper with it, and you can yank him over, kind of like a He-Man figure.
You squeeze Docky's legs, and he yanks.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's it. That's the one. There's the one. Mm-hmm.
Pre-ordered in my mind.
Come on, Hasbro, launch that one.
The show is firing on all cylinders, which I think often makes Hasbro feel safer about making more characters if the show is popular. So I think we might need to wait a little bit while, but I think we'll be getting some Docky. I'm really hopeful. I always want action figures, but what I really want this week is Maul's Sither-size workout video where you can do get your gift tube of wrapping paper. And do your Sither-size workout along with Maul, and remind yourself that you are fear, you are hunter.
Sither-size body by Maul.
Yeah.
three VHS sets.
Upper body by Maul.
Legs by Maul.
Legs by Maul.
That's the shortest one. Get robot legs.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
All right. That is our big look at these two episodes, Inquisition and Night of the Hunted. Ken, you want to take us home? I do. On a train with Maul, we go to the next review. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're new to our discussions, this is what we do. We dive in deep. We engage with the art. It's not just about being positive and this and that. I heard that accusation thrown at us again the other day. No. We're here diving into the art to see what's there, what's the meaning of Star Wars. So if you're new and you want to continue that journey, please hop on board for that. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. And you can support us directly at Patreon, patreon.com/ForceCenter. As Joseph said up top, trying to build towards a goal of 400 paid supporters by the release of Mandalorian and Grogu. From there, you get into our Discord where the conversation with Force Center friends goes on. And you can also listen to the podcast feed on Sundays. We rebroadcast Databank Brawl. Follow me at Ken Napzok. Don't forget, May 24th. I got to start planning for that a little bit more with you there. I got to figure what's going on. May 24th, Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, California, 5 p.m. in the Yoo-Hoo Room will be a Star Wars-themed comedy show, along with some Flappers folks there and some comics that Joseph and I are going to surround ourselves with. So details for that will be on my sites and socials soon. Joseph, you've been releasing short films that you made on your YouTube channel. We've been highlighting that, and that still goes on. That is right. You can just find me by searching my name, Joseph Scrimshaw, on YouTube. Is several horror shorts, some existential dread with Phil Lamar. And as we release this tomorrow, Thursday, How Do Days Work, Thursday, April 23rd, I'll be releasing a new horror short called Victim 7, which I think is very cathartic about some modern day woes. So I hope you will check it out. Smash the like and subscribe buttons and any other buttons you can find. Just smash everything.
Smash it like two stormtroopers squished together with the stormtrooper meat on the inside. All right, that is it. We'll see you next time for our Maul breakdown. We'll catch you on other shows here on ForceCenter.